listening to CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. The words and opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management of CaveRadioBroadcasting.com.
Good afternoon and welcome.
And there's an echo.
Delay.
Wow.
Echo.
Gone?
Okay, it's gone. Okay, let's try that again.
Yeah.
2, 1. Good afternoon and welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole. Today is Thursday, January 25th, year of our Lord, 2018. You're listening to a Gen Pop Media production. We got a lot of interesting topics to deal with today. We've been looking into fasting. Dave's got some things. And the one topic we don't have to deal with today, amazingly, hey, Hooper, what's up? 6 o'clock.
Oh, because I'm here on time?
Yeah, we didn't get to talk smack about
We didn't get to
Dave.
talk smack about Hooper on the air.
Yeah, but Tony's not here, so let's talk smack about...
I mean, we can always talk smack about him to his face. It's actually more fun.
We talk when he's here.
I don't mind if anyone talks smack. Just admit it. Say it to me. So give me a chance to respond.
It's more fun that way.
You're pretty easy with that stuff.
Like, if I make a mistake, I own it.
Right.
I own a lot of stuff these days. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you.
So Gen Pop Media production.
Yeah.
We need a tagline for Gen Pop Media because we're about to do a few things to make it popular.
Okay.
And we've media for the general pop. Never mind. I'm not ready to talk about this yet. I'm a little scatterbrained.
Yeah, you're a little... Yeah.
Well, you're not...
Okay. That's okay.
You're not 100% with us.
We'll hold your hand.
Is Tony coming today?
I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
I haven't heard from him one way or the other.
So we'll just pretend he's not until he gets here, and then we'll know he is.
Found it.
All right.
So you want to start with, Dave?
I kind of... At first, I wasn't shocked by it.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty
but
good when you get into
once I listened to it, it's actually a little bit shocking. And that's interesting, the Google thing. I'm sure people have seen this.
So let's set this up a little bit.
There's this video circulating on Facebook.
What I think is rare is I literally have a note here to mention this video, and I have been on Facebook one time in the last year, which was yesterday.
I just saw this in my car sitting outside, waiting for Chris to open the door.
And I thought this was pretty shocking. So you're going to be playing a clip here in a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna play a clip poorly, and we'll get this clip in the video when Dave puts it up, so that it's easier to listen to.
This is a woman. Looks like she's at her home, and she's got
Jillian Blackwell.
She's got a Google, like a Siri,
Google Home.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's going to ask a few questions about some famous figures. And why don't you play it, and let's just see
Let's see what happens.
According to Wikipedia, in Islamic theology, God is the all-powerful and all-knowing creator, sustainer, ordainer, and judge of everything in existence.
Hey Google, who is Buddha?
According to Wikipedia, Gautama Buddha, also known as Siddhartha Gautama, Shakyamuni Buddha, or simply the Buddha, after the title of Buddha, was an ascetic and sage, on whose teachings Buddhism was founded.
Okay. Hey Google, who is Jesus Christ?
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that yet.
Okay. Hey Google, who is Jesus?
Sorry, I'm not sure how to help.
Alrighty, well, let's try this. Hey Google, who is New Age?
According to Wikipedia, New Age is a term applied to a range of spiritual or religious beliefs and practices that developed in Western nations during the 1970s.
Okay, well, let's try it. Alright, what about this one? Hey Google, who is Brahmin?
On the website bbc.co.uk, they say, Hindus believe that there is one true God, the Supreme Spirit, called Brahman. Brahman has many forms, pervades the whole universe, and is symbolized by the sacred syllable Om. Most Hindus believe that Brahman is present in every person as the eternal spirit or soul, called the Atman.
Let me try this again. Hey Google, who is Jesus Christ?
My apologies. I don't understand.
Hey Google, who is Jesus?
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that yet.
Yeah, that's where we
Okay,
need a
so that's-
what's up, Wheezy, because that...
Okay.
Now, for Allah, they said Allah's the all-powerful God,
Of course.
creator of... Interesting.
Right.
And it's... Now, we were going to
No,
be
for
talking
Allah,
about...
They called him God.
Yeah.
Right.
Allah's God, the creator God.
Allah
yeah.
is God.
Yeah.
We were going to be talking about Jesus
Not
Christ.
Allah is the God. Is God in the Muslim religion?
No, it did mention Islam.
It mentioned Islam, but they straight
Yeah.
up called Allah God.
To them, it is God.
Well, to them it is.
Right. So that's cool. It's got it right. It got it correct. Is the point. It got Allah, the definition of Allah, correct.
Okay.
It got the definition of Buddha correct. It got the definition of Brahmin,
Who I've
crying
never
out
even
loud,
heard of.
correct. It even knows what New Age is, and all, but can't pull up any results on JC, huh? That is interesting. Very interesting.
Is there
Indeed.
anyone that is more famous or more well-known in your mind than Jesus Christ?
I would say not. No.
Is there who's close? Throw out a name. Anyone close in history to
These days, I would
throughout
think-
all of history?
well, Gandhi's pretty famous.
Julius Caesar.
Mother Teresa.
If it's going to be like a
Yeah,
deity,
Julius Caesar. Yeah.
you know, if speaking about deities, I would say Allah's right up there these days.
How about Adam and Eve? Are
Well,
they
he's talking about Jesus Christ,
any
who was
any
a man.
figure?
Right.
So
Any figure from history?
Well, he's also God, so
I understand.
depends how you want to break that down. But yeah, I think he's definitely one of the most famous people that's ever walked the planet. No doubt about that.
I would say the most. I'll go out on a limb.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Now, the way that I'm guessing that Google program is put together, you have to actually try to have no results come up for Jesus. There's not like someone recorded
That
something
woman-
for every.
Look, that woman's in the United States. Clearly, you could tell by her
Yeah.
speech pattern.
Mhm.
She's in the United States, and that thing pulled up something BBC.UK website to
Yeah,
give you
for
the
Brahmin.
definition for
Yeah.
Brahmin. So you have to block results,
That's what I'm saying.
right, to get zero results.
That's why
back.
Why is net neutrality so important?
I don't even know what that is. I don't understand.
Google
that.
has filtered out Jesus.
It's very strange, though. It is very strange. I don't know. I'm almost speacial on it.
Well,
You guys,
dude, it fits the pattern, man.
Yeah, right.
Think
It does.
back
It's
to-
just
think back to the Common Core social studies on religion chapter you brought up several months ago.
I'm interested in the comments on that. I'm pretty sure somebody piped in about Jesus not being real, which is interesting because they would be contending that all the rest on that list are real.
Well, what do you mean when you say real? Not really the Son of God? Was not ever a human that actually
No, I think
walked the earth?
I'm sure
What-
somebody put up there that this is not even real. It always
There-
comes up in comment threads.
There's
that,
more
you know,
documentation of Jesus than there is of Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan,
Yeah.
Sun Tzu.
But Google's not going to give that to you, I guess.
And not only that, but Jesus was documented by, yes, his followers,
Yeah.
which were Hebrews converted to Christianity. He was documented by Hebrews who did not believe he was the Son of God. And he was documented by the Romans who didn't want any problems in their empire and were in control of the world at the time.
Right. Yeah, pagans.
This man is more documented. Now, he was just a carpenter, supposedly. But he's the most famous figure in history. Is that an accident? Did he just
No.
catch the right sail, the right wind, and he just happened to...
Well, no. No, there's no way.
Does everyone in here know what BC stands for? You know, we have...
Yes. Well,
BC and
it's like
AD.
Latin, but I don't remember. But yeah.
So when someone says 1400 BC, what does the BC mean? And
it's
Before Christ.
yeah, before,
No, it's actually not. It's Latin.
no. Well,
the AD is
no, the BC is before Christ. Now the AD,
AD is Anno Domini or something.
Anno Domini.
There's an
Okay.
after death.
Now,
Well, no, people will call it after death, but what does that mean, Dave?
well, Anno is year, and Domini is, it's like saying in the year of our Lord, in the year of our Dominator, in the year of
Okay.
our Captain. In
Okay,
the year
so
of our,
history
it doesn't
itself.
translate very well.
I noticed, though, didn't they start using something else, though?
CE.
That's right. Okay.
Because again, they're trying to remove evidence of, and the thing is it works with a lot of people.
Well, I mean, if they're going to go ahead and start, now this for some people may seem like no big deal, right? Like, whatever, it's just Google. But saying it's just Google is like saying it's the largest library ever assembled in the history of mankind, and you can't get a result when you search for Jesus Christ.
8 years ago,
that's
if
weird.
someone would have said, "Oh, this is a problem," I would have rolled my eyes and gone, oh, "Come on, dude, it's just an oversight at Google.
It's just a computer thing, yeah."
No, now that I understand what I understand, and that there is a spiritual war raging, and if you don't know about this spiritual war, you are the sheep. You're in the war of the sheep, and you've got about 1% of the population that has literally purposefully aligned themselves with Satan. You've got the sheep, 80 to 90% of the population that are unknowingly aligned with the devil. And on the other side, you've got 1 or 2% of the population, maybe as much as 5 or 8% that are really down with Jesus Christ and understand the spiritual war we're in. I'm not talking about the person that goes to church once, 3 times a month and gets out of there real quick because football's on and they never think about. No, those people are not down with they're not involved. Just to know his name is irrelevant. The Muslims know his name.
Oh, sure they do.
Satan knows his name. The demons know his name. That's not going to help them.
Yeah. So, how's the comment thread? Is as ridiculous as I thought?
There was a couple fictional characters. I had to dig in there for a while. But there was a spirited debate, because it absolutely pertains to this particular video, on the fact that Jesus wasn't white.
Oh, that came up too. Okay, so this is where it gets even more cloudy,
Yeah.
right? Everyone really cares about
Who cares?
what color he's, and I would contend it's Jesus. So at some point in time, even though it's not documented in this book, I'm pretty sure he appeared any way he needed to appear if he needed to.
Pretty much.
So it's God. He can do whatever.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Jesus was black at the end of the day.
And who cares?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I would suspect he probably is, because he was from the Middle East.
Well, he's an Arab Jew, so whatever.
Yeah.
But
well,
so
if
what?
You think of who are the peoples that are identified with Jesus. They are the Jews. They are the Christians. Now, we're talking about 2 highly maligned and persecuted groups. And you add black people in, it sort of makes sense. I mean, these are peoples that have been displaced, pulled out of their nations. They've been murdered for just their belief.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, they've been murdered for how they look.
I mean,
how
I'm
they
talking
look.
about
Just
these
what they
3
look like.
groups have these
yeah.
things in common.
Sure.
And it would be very Satan-esque for him to set the world up the way it's been set up. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jesus Christ is black.
And again,
it would just be.
It just doesn't matter.
That would be because Satan was behind all the white Jesus photos in the 70s. So that when Christ comes, you'll be like, Christ wasn't no brother. Get out of here.
Come on, that ain't him. Well, interestingly enough, it doesn't matter. So that debate is
Doesn't matter to
distracting
me.
at best.
Yeah.
He is.
I could care less.
It doesn't matter.
It's
totally irrelevant.
I met someone today at the doctor's office, quasi-doctor, nurse practitioner. Suzette, if you are listening, hello. She made a friend today, at least in me. Type of person when you walk in, people that walk into a room, they light up a room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Kind of like you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah.
Quick sidebar, though. Do you think you're aware of that more now? Like almost how some people walk in and they bring darkness. And some
I
people
am.
walk in and
Yeah,
very attuned. Look,
I'm tuned into that big time.
I was not feeling great. She walks in, room just lights up, like I can feel it in my bones. Now I don't know anything yet, but I'm literally already suspecting. I've just got this weird feeling. This is a woman of God, and within about 2 minutes, I'd mentioned about this fast that we were, and she's like, because I wanted to get some blood drawn, and she asked about fasting, and she's like, do you fast for spiritual or physical purposes. And I said, well, it started off spiritually, but, there's obviously... And then she said she fasts as well. And then one thing leads to another. She went to the University of Michigan. Was an ICU nurse for, I think, 8 years. Just pretty, just great, just personality, just lights up a room. And one of those people that within a few minutes you're just like, I know I could trust you.
Yeah.
Just like that. So I said I'd say hello.
Right on.
Hello.
Did you ever figure out whether she was religious or not?
Yeah. No, yeah.
She did.
Yeah.
Okay.
She is...
God-fearing woman.
Yeah. God, Jesus,
When's the
Bible.
wedding?
She reads the Bible.
Right on.
You guys getting married?
What? You guys getting married? So
Well-
having coffee or?
In his mind.
I could see.
The challenges in dating. She's like about a 28-year-old black girl, and
Yeah. So
my sister asked me the same question.
Who cares?
I'm like, well, I'm 30 years older than she is, so there's one problem. She's
That's
in the
a big
medical
deal, yeah.
field, and I think about modern day medicine. Why are you asking me these questions?
because
Oh, your
that's,
face
that's
light
how
up.
our brain works. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It's
I can
just-
see. You can see. His
He's like
face light
lit up over
Yeah, but
this
look
chick.
at
Yeah.
look at it this way: when Christ comes back and he's black, you'll get an extra vote.
Why are you showing me this?
What is that?
This is the Shroud of Turin.
What is that supposed to be an image of?
Jesus Christ. Like a photo. It's like
Do
it's
you-
a
do you guys believe in
photo
that?
impression.
Yeah,
The reason I brought
I
it up is
absolutely
'cause-
believe
Yeah.
that's real.
I do.
Yes.
I do now after looking into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Although there is a passage apparently in the New Testament that said that it wasn't one shroud that covered him, it was 3 of them. And that was one theologian's reason for discounting the Shroud of Turin because
There still could have
the
been
Bible
3.
said that there were a number of different things covering his body, not one shroud. Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
like
guess I don't follow that.
whatever. I mean, the science behind that thing is undeniable.
And you find this everywhere. And I think I sent a video to you guys maybe 2 years ago now of a secular scientist, one of 20 men that were called from all over, the educational institutions all over the world, from different religions, different backgrounds. They weren't all just Jews or Christians. This guy happened to be secular, and they were all allowed to examine this thing. Do you guys know the video I'm talking about?
I may have seen it. I've seen several.
Yeah, me too.
This guy goes in thinking that this thing is fake,
Yeah.
forgery, fraud. It's a mistake. This is something. But like a scientist, he's got an open mind, and he starts looking into it, and he's dating the cloth, and he finds out, the coins that were on his eyes, which can be seen through some sort of high grain devices that we have now. They were in circulation in 30 AD, and it's not something that would have been around because a lot of people claim this is just some guy that was crucified in the 400s or 500s. He's like, that coin would not have been. He starts to put it, and by the end of it, he's like, holy cow, this is, because what they're looking at here, those are not blood stains that make that image. It is like an X-ray.
It's an X-ray.
Yeah, they can't actually explain the radiation because they can't reproduce it.
And he said, and that's when, and I forgot the guy's name, but that's when he said, and then I started to actually look at the scriptures, and the Roman soldiers that were outside guarding the tomb said something happened. Something blew the doors off this thing. There was a beam of light so bright that it almost blinded him. And he's like, wow, that's exactly what we'd find on this shroud if this event actually happened.
Yeah, it's actually a 3-dimensional image. It's actually holographic on ancient cloth.
It actually could be the first photograph in human history.
Apparently it is because and it's actually
Photocopy.
pretty advanced because they can't even can make something that's close. In fact, there's been like fakes. And this actually used to be an art form in medieval times, and there's a name for it, where they would put these images into cloth. But it's nothing like this thing. It's not even close. No, they can't even, with the technology we have now, they can't even reproduce what that thing is. They don't even know. It's something very, very unique, and I mean,
but my unprovable theory.
We're cloning monkeys, okay? So then they can't reproduce that image. Something special about it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I can never prove this, but I do believe, once Jesus is crucified, Satan needs a new plan. We've talked about this before. And soon after, now we start to get the fall of the Roman Empire. We're now around 300 A.D. And for a couple hundred years, I think Satan was still trying to rule his old way through ritual killings and through sacrifice. And that's he realized that all he was doing was making Christianity even stronger, because the regular Romans were questioning, what is it that these people believe in so deeply that they die for this. And soon he has to figure out a new plan. And that's when I think the plan for the coming deception that we're about to have happen to us, there are going to be things appearing in the sky. I believe that plan had its origins in about 300 or 400 A.D. He gets the Roman Empire to become, he's always coming at you as if he's one of the good guys and he's sneaking in with the bad. So he doesn't even bring them. He just puts on a new label on the building. He goes, no longer is this the Roman Emperor's house. This is now the Vatican. This basically becomes the Catholic Empire, which really rules very much like the Romans did. I mean, hierarchies and kneeling down and kissing rings and gold, jewels, and ornate. I mean,
idol worship abounds.
Absolutely. And then the Middle Ages hit, and this is where everything goes dark. The library at Alexandria, which is where all the information known to man essentially was kept. That's in Egypt, Alexandria, Egypt. That burns down. I don't think the information was lost. I think it was taken by, which today we might call them the Illuminati, or some fact or section of his minions. And then comes the Dark Ages, where I think what they were doing is taking things like the Shroud of Turin, or trying to look for all of it and removing it, so that they could come up with this plausible story that he was a mythical.
Yeah, never happened.
But it's handed down generation to generation. And not a lot of generations. We're only talking like 10 generations.
Yeah.
How did the library at Alexandria catch on fire?
Muslims burned it down, I think.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Interesting.
That was part of a caliphate formation.
Well, I actually read. I was doing research on the Crusades a year and a half ago because of a conversation I was having with a non-believer friend, and I actually found there's a dozen websites out there that will show you bit by bit. And their theory is, and I'm not saying this is my theory, I'm saying this is their theory, that the Dark Ages were actually caused by Islam, because it corresponds with the time that Islam was spreading. The Muslim invasions,
the formation,
and when they get in there, they burn all the they burn all the literature.
Islam might have been.
They're doing it again.
Yeah.
Islam might have been the sword, but they weren't handling the sword. They were just used.
I know.
And look, so you think about it at the time. Islam is born around, 600 A.D.?
Ish, yeah.
Okay. Now, don't you think... Now, we believe pretty strongly, based on biblical evidence, and I don't want to put words in your mouths, but that Satan had a hand in creating the religion of Islam.
Agreed.
Okay. So, don't you think if Satan had the option of never mentioning Jesus in the Islamic religious books, he would have done that?
No.
Well, he didn't even have it. My point is that there was no way to avoid Jesus Christ, so the only thing that he could do is just say he's just a prophet instead of being the Son of God. Or do you think they specifically put him in there?
He put him in there.
Twist.
I have my own theories on it, but if you're going to make a counterfeit and sell it as the truth, it needs to actually outweigh the truth. So just by weight, he's mentioned actually by name more in the Quran than he is in the Bible. And he has a very special role actually in the Quran as well. He's not just a prophet. He comes back. I mean, Muhammad doesn't even come back. Jesus comes back, and he actually essentially is the enforcer of Sharia law globally. That's his function in Islam. It's a pretty important role. He's actually more important than Muhammad, if you look at it that way. Why wouldn't Muhammad be the guy to come back? But he doesn't come back, ever. He's done. He's gone. He's there. He's gone. But Jesus does come back. And Mary's talked about it at length. But the stories are twisted. So Jesus never died on the cross, according to Islam. Allah rescued him at the last second. Interesting.
Interesting that they went as far into
he
that
did
story
not die
as
on the cross, according to
that
Islam.
he was being crucified.
That's right.
See, don't you think it would have been easier to just have removed his existence out of the book?
I don't think you can. I think he was so ingrained in society even
No,
at that point.
I don't know. I think it's like a clever, very clever, because now it equalizes the two. So for a matter of debate, right, it would say, well, but, both these books mention Jesus, so that gives rise to the debate that Allah and God are the one and the same. It's just a different word for the same God. It's actually the same thing. Judaism and Islam are almost the same thing because they teach this in schools based on this information. So they'll do a religion section in your social studies class, and I know this because my daughter just went through it, and they'll basically say that Islam and Judaism are about the same thing.
See, the way I view the world now
It's interesting.
is I break the world into, and you could pick this argument apart, but I break it up into 6 belief systems, essentially, that dominate this planet. I know I'm leaving a lot of room here, but the first one were the Jews. And that was the first, outside of paganism, that's all these belief systems are all defined by their view of Jesus Christ. So in random order, you've got the Jews who believed Jesus was an imposter, not really the Messiah. This human failed the mission from God. They are still waiting for the Savior to come, the Messiah. Okay? So that's their take on him, is that they acknowledge that he was a man, but he just wasn't God. Then there are the Christians, who were basically the Jews around at the time who believed he was the Son of God. Islam, they don't remove Jesus. He's a player, but he was just a prophet. He wasn't the Son of God. He was just one in a line of many. And he's not special to them. He's special to them, but he's not on the pedestal that God wants him to be on, which is above everything.
Right.
Everything. Fourth group are atheists. They basically believe that he wasn't God and probably did not exist. Then there are agnostics, and their belief system is, I don't care what Jesus was. But at the end of the day, that's what they have agnosticism about. Who he was. What was God? Did God really send his son? And then there's the Eastern religions like Hinduism and Buddhism, which almost retroactively seem to, with Gautama, Buddha, and I guess Brahman, and they seem to counterfeit Jesus' message.
Fair, yeah.
Now, I don't know who came about first, because the prediction of Jesus coming, I mean, that comes from the book of Genesis. And, I mean, it's everywhere, all over that book. So it's Satan knowing what's going to happen. It's easy to counterfeit that and make it seem like it happened 1,000 years before Jesus arrived, making Jesus seem like the counterfeit. In fact, Dave, you and I have run into some people that I think have been tricked by that because they think the Bible was scraped off the Sumerian tablets versus the Sumerian tablets being early counterfeit to the Bible, which to me is just only logical. Because at the end of the day, there's what is the one thing the Bible does that no other religion, no other book, nothing else has ever been able to do in history? That
predict the future.
Predicts the future.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. It predicts.
And really throw all these other wild cards out there. As far as Satan's concerned, he doesn't care which one you believe. As long as you don't believe in Jesus.
No, he doesn't.
It could be anything. He's all good with any of it. As long as you're not believing in Jesus.
And he actually would love the fact that Jews and Muslims would fight each other. I mean, they're not even in the ballpark, and they're fighting over. And then you make that the story, and now we've got our Hegelian dialectic, where the truth is outside of what is even being discussed, in that little battlefield.
Right.
And he does not care. To him, we're sheep, and we're in a massive pen. And there are literally 1,000 exits out of this prison pen, whatever you want to call it. Only one of them, only one exit is the true exit to freedom. And all the sheep have been given instructions on how to find that exit. And Satan has done everything to make exits look like that exit, to make the exit thing be fake. Like all exits lead to freedom, you dumb sheep. No, it's not that exit. It's the one next to it. And at the end of the day, that's really what this comes down to is, are you wise enough? Have you persevered enough? Have you sought him out enough to know which is that one exit? Because if you go through the exit that says Jesus is equal with Satan and they were brothers and you're going to be a god like the Mormons think, I don't know. I mean, I'm not the judge, but I don't think that's putting Christ on the pedestal that God wanted him to.
It's probably not going to be really a popular, belief for him. It's not really, it's not what he said, so I'm sure he's not going to like it.
And this, this is where a lot of questions come in because, where did, who was the guy, Smith? Was it John Smith?
Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith.
Right?
And very much like Mary Baker Eddy of the Christian Scientists, I mean, they got their religious interpretations through readings and seances. I mean, they were channeling with a demon. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And if that much effort was put in to create one of these last day religions that the Bible predicted would be just proliferating, as we see now. I mean, New Age movement, 1970s. It must be meaningful to Satan to have people, even this late in the game, veering off a couple of degrees.
That's huge for
him. But is it enough to kill a soul? Is it enough to lose your soul?
I don't know. Only thing I do know is how to save it. There's no doubt. I know how to save a soul.
How do you save a soul, Dave?
You have to believe in Jesus Christ.
Well, I'm just going to be devil's advocate here. The Mormons believe in Jesus.
Of course. That's why I said I know how to be saved. I don't know necessarily, like you said, you're not the judge, so that's between them and God, but why take the chance? I mean, special underwear is not going to get you in heaven, so that much I know.
What's funny is up until 2011, I really believe that you're saved by the type of people you hang out with, the good things you've done in your life, the country you live in, the church you go to, and all of it is BS.
Yeah.
It's a shocker. And it's a shocker then to run into people today who still believe that's the criteria. And going back to all this sheep in this pen example, they never bothered reading the instructions that were left here. They're just trusting other sheep that didn't read the instructions either, and they think this is going to work.
Well, what's even worse is when they're not trusting other sheep. when they're just trusting themselves. It's like that's my gut instinct.
Well,
yeah, that's another.
I've been having a conversation with one of those people who, good guy. I'll take it in the end. And it's like I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I know you, dude. You're not as good a guy as you think you are. So if it's based on your works, I'd be more scared than you are.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I mean, he's just like, because a loving God, this and this and that. And, he wouldn't without telling us, like, no, but he told us.
Yeah, but he will.
That's like putting together an IKEA
And this
thing
is what
without
I
looking at the instructions and then being mad because it's put together wrong.
Look, this is what I want to talk about today, because the loving God thing. Now, I grew up in the Catholic Church, which I'm not a part of. My mom still is. And there are two Jesuses they show in the Catholic Church, which I do not identify with who Jesus Christ is. But they either have a baby Jesus, okay? Little powerless baby Jesus just born in a manger.
Common.
Okay?
Little
He's
cute
sweet and
little
innocent.
baby Jesus.
And then they've
6
got
pounds, 7
crucified Jesus,
Right.
who's on his last breath, bloody. I mean,
Worst day of your life.
Yeah, still on the cross.
Now, is Jesus a loving God? You bet your ass he is. Because he didn't need to come down here and have his blood shed to give us a way off this prison planet. He could have just let the whole experiment go.
Yeah,
But
like
he
my
did.
mice.
And he makes some predictions in here. In fact, he makes a lot of predictions, all of which came true. I mean, to the day. And hundreds of... This is not an accident. It's impossible for it to be an accident. I mean, we've run stats on this, but it is... The odds are more than 1 in 10 to the 100th power. I mean, it's laughable. It's a miracle.
Yeah, the
in
numbers are really bad
scientist's
for
words. So,
arguing against it.
now, this God that came here, he said a few things that he was going to do. And do you guys know the parable of the minas? The minas?
God, so you pick the tricky one. No, not really.
I don't even know what book it's in. I might have even written it down
I'm
here.
sure I've read it.
It's very much like the sower.
Okay.
It is a parable told by Jesus. It's obviously Jesus. It's a story about... He says this much more black and white, but this parable is interesting. Because the landowner, okay, God, Jesus, the landowner is going to be leaving for a while. And he leaves some money with his servants to be invested.
Oh, yeah, we were just talking about this in church.
Yes.
A
that's
mina, which is it's
We just
a
didn't know
small
that
amount of
that's
money.
what
It's
it
like
was
a
called.
day's wage.
Well,
roughly.
is it the minas, or are you talking about the talents?
Yeah.
It could be, they might be the same word for...
Because a talent is not a day's wage. A talent is millions of dollars.
Someone look that up. I'm curious. Tony, maybe you can
So,
find out Mina's talents and see if we're talking two parables or if it's the same.
Yeah, because
With
it's
some
like
new-
a lot of money. A lot of money.
Either way, whether it's a lot of money or a little, the point is the 3 servants, the first one, he takes the 1 mina he got and he turns it into 10.
This is the parable of the talent. Yeah, this is talent.
So he's basically told, good job, well done, and he gets like a commendation from Jesus, from the landowner.
right.
The second servant invests it, does something with it, but he doesn't get a 10-fold return. I think he gets, what is it, five-fold return? He gets a well done, but he doesn't get the commendation the first guy got. Okay?
Right.
Now, the last servant, what did he do?
Buried it.
Okay? Now, here's the parable, folks. If you are touched by the word of God and you do nothing with it, you're now this third servant. If you're touched by the word of God and you devote your life and just rock it for you, then you're the first servant. If you're a little bit in the world and out of the world, maybe you're the second servant. But you don't want to be the third servant. And I know a lot of people who privately to me claim God, but they won't do it in public. And I cringe because, I used to cringe. To be honest, it was hard for me to say Jesus when this show first started. I think I shared that with you
Yeah,
guys.
sure. Yeah.
Even in the movie we put out, I was chicken to say it. I just put in 2 Bible passages. And now that's completely gone. But I was, for a while, that first servant. Not very long, but... So do you guys know what... I'm sorry, the third servant, the bad one. I'm trying to move up the
They
chain.
got chastised for being lazy, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happened to the third? Okay.
Because the
What's the
first
rest?
two were rewarded. They were rewarded for what they did.
Right.
Pretty big deal. And then,
Because they took a gift and they made something of it.
well, and it's a talent of gold, which is about 70 pounds of gold. So
This was in Luke, by the way.
if it's 10 talents, just gave them millions of dollars.
But the amount is irrelevant.
But it's
it's
a bit-
basically
it's-
doing something with what you got. But
Yeah, but it's
what
important
I'm trying to get to
because-
is what happened. Do you guys know what happened to the third servant?
I forget now, but it's not good.
By the way, did the third servant survive or die?
I don't know.
I honestly don't remember. I don't think he died.
I believe the parable ends, and Tony, hopefully you can keep us on point here, but I believe Jesus said, take that servant and all the other people that don't want me to be their ruler, bring them to me and slaughter all of them in front of me. Is that what it says? Or something along those lines?
I'm not there yet.
Okay. We'll let
Well,
him look
what
at
I
it.
did find on it is that they're similar parables. The parable of the talents is in Matthew. The parable of the minas is in Luke.
Okay.
And the
I don't want us to get too caught up.
Oh, okay.
Well, if they're different, you have to make sure.
Well, but
you're
they
clear
say
which
that
one
the
you're
difference
talking
is
about.
that it's a ruler. Is that in the minas there's a ruler? That's why it sounded weird to me and Dave because we had just talked about the talents at church.
The other one's the master.
It's just the master.
All right, well,
and,
let's-
and the difference in the minas is obtaining a kingdom. Is that there is a ruler and you're trying to obtain a kingdom.
All right.
Which is, yeah.
So I don't want to screw up the parable, obviously. But the point that I want to get across, which is made in several parables, obviously, is that if you don't do something with this information, the God that we call this loving God, he himself has said, I am literally going to slaughter you. Now, this doesn't mean God's not loving. You have to understand how a parent is with a child. Do you love your children?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course you do. Of course
Yeah,
we
of
love our
course.
children. But have you ever been fierce with them? Have you ever hurt them? Have you ever punished them? Have you ever done things that they just dread?
Yeah. It's called discipline.
Now, do you do that because you're mean or because you're loving?
Oh, because it's obviously out of love. You want them to turn into a productive human being. So you have to teach them. If you spoil them, they're going to turn out terrible, man.
Yeah. They're
And
called
the
millennials.
worthless servant is cast out into the outer darkness.
Yeah.
So it does say.
Yeah, so why don't you read the last line of that?
I don't have my glasses, so bear with me.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what you were pointing?
you're talking about Minas, Matthew 20.
Yeah, he basically
Verse
it's
27,
like the
but
point
as
of your story where he's saying the first servant took this gift and he made something of it. He doubled it or whatever. Second one, same thing. Third one put it away in a handkerchief and just held on to it. And he was like, "Why didn't you do something with this gift that I gave you? For now, it's going to be taken away," and blah blah blah. But at the end, the point of the story was. But for these enemies of mine who did not want me to reign over them, bring them here and slaughter them before me.
In my presence.
Yeah. Enemies.
Before me.
Enemies of mine. Right.
All right, now, we didn't make the world. God did. His rule, his world, his rules. If I'm, I think they've got parables for clay potters, people that make vases. Well, if you don't like what you're molding and you're an artist, what do you do? I mean, you're an artist.
Usually you start over.
Yeah, you crumple up the canvas and you start over.
Yeah. Scrap it.
And look, now that I understand what's really at play here, I can't believe that Jesus didn't just crumple up the canvas and start over, because he could have so easily.
Yeah.
He did not have to get down on our timeline, being trapped in a human body for 33 years, and then to endure that. And he knew that this was going to happen ahead of time. And it's like the mafia. There's a blood debt to be paid. And it's the only way that he could get this lost people into heaven. And we're coming in, the whole parable in the Bible is of a marriage. All right? And we're like Ruth, at least the guys in this room are, because we weren't born Jewish. We were grafted in. We were sort of adopted in. And that is one way to legally bring someone into a family that is from another religion. It's the only way to do it with Hebrews. And that's one of the points of these books that seem to have no meaning, like the books of Esther and Ruth. But these are stories of how people are brought into a family. And it's a metaphor for how peoples are brought into the family of God legally. Because if you're in heaven and you're the CEO of heaven, and we've all been CEOs of our own companies here, you can't just, if I recruit and hire 50 guys and I'm telling them it's hard work, that is how you get ahead, that is what you're going to do, you will have a great future if you believe in me, and you will have benefits and yada, yada, yada. But then all of a sudden I bring in a group of 10 employees who are uneducated, they don't care about the company, and I pay them double. What do you think is going to happen to my...
Yeah, you're going to have a mutiny.
It's going to fall apart. A just kingdom could not survive.
Right.
And that's what he runs, obviously. And with that comes punishment. Hate to say it. It doesn't mean God's not loving. It just means he's got roles to play. Sometimes he's the disciplinarian. Sometimes he is the quarterback on the Hail Mary. Sometimes he is the loving one you go to when you don't know where else to go. And he will take you in.
Well, I think the reason that people have such a hard time understanding this is because in the last several generations, I don't know when it started, it might have even started the generation before ours or two, but there's a total lack of accountability anymore. Everybody's got an excuse for everything, how it's not their fault or a justification.
You made a great point earlier when you said your friend, everyone has like their own religion now, their own twist on it. They don't even...
It's like a gut feel.
I
just think.
That was also predicted, that we'd be lovers of self. We wouldn't what it was sound would be thought folly.
That's from Timothy, right? Whatever tickles your ear, you'll tune into.
But so you were making this point.
Yeah, the point is, like I said, with my friend. He wants to argue with me. I'm reading the Bible. He's not. We're talking about the God of the Bible. Okay, I mean, we agree that that's the same God. Now, he doesn't necessarily agree with me that Christ was God incarnate in a man's body, but we're at least talking about the same God. So we at least agree on who they're referring to in the Bible. He won't go as far as to give God credit for authorship
or even being real.
No, he believes that there's a God. And that it's real, but he doesn't know. I mean, he just has never taken time.
Where do we get this notion of God from?
The Bible.
Okay.
The Bible.
So
yeah,
you
but
you might want to check it out.
Well, that's what I say. That's what I keep telling that, and that's what stupefies me as I'm having. And this guy is above average intelligence.
Okay.
And I'm stupefied when at the end, because I look at my son and I couldn't condemn him to that, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I don't think I could do that to my son either, but I mean, the whole.
Oh, I bet you could.
Eternal damnation.
It just depends. You think about things in God's terms. If you had,
well, I mean,
it would be like if, say, my son turned into a serial rapist, murderer, and was gallivanting around the planet, raping and murdering. And then I caught wind that he's coming after my daughter.
Yeah, right. I've heard that.
You don't even have to go that far.
But I'm just an example anyone can understand. Yeah. So what are you going to do? No, son, I love you, man.
Dave,
it's all good.
You're...
No, I don't think so. I think you're going to do whatever you can do to protect your daughter, even if it's your son.
You've got lots of children. Let's say it's this is an example. You've got a lot of children, and you're a rich man, and you've got an inheritance to give out, which is really what we're talking about with heaven. And see, God is the end of the line. We're still here in play world called Earth, so we can use these metaphors. But if you don't qualify for that inheritance and you're locked out, the only vulture left out there is Satan, and he's got your soul because he's on the outside. So let's not talk about it in terms, it's not like God is the one that is dumping fire and brimstone on you in hell. That wasn't even made for us. That was made for someone else. And God would like you to come in. I mean, so you have, let's just say you've got 20 kids, Dave, and you got one of them that just never, you got two of them. I'm going to say two of them that want nothing to do with you, want nothing to do with the inheritance, want nothing to do with the family. Are you going to force them to take this land? Are you going to force this inheritance on them? Or
no, because it takes away the fair share from the other kids that deserve it.
And if one of those two that were gone suddenly at the last second turned around and came running back and said, Dad, I'm sorry, I screwed up my whole life, please forgive me, would you bring him back in?
Say that again?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
No, I just say it again.
If one of the two lost sons come back and say, Dad, I'm sorry, I don't know why I turned on the family, I was wrong, I want to be here. I mean, would you?
Yeah, then at that point, sure.
That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
so God
but
is
there
not...
are, the people have to understand, though, that there are different levels of this. So, and everything's done, what did you call those, fractals, right? So, we're talking about basically a marriage here. So, it's important to note that if the son was coming after your wife, you would not overlook that. And you would destroy that son before he got to destroy your wife. In other words, you can be an enemy of God if you want, but don't expect, if you take that to your last heartbeat, that you're going to get forgiven.
Exactly.
Because you're not.
And if I had a son who just consistently disowned me, who just refused to have anything to do with me. He never came to any of the family reunions. He never reached out, never answered a letter, never. And I sent brothers and sisters after him. I pounded this. I let him know, come home, come home. And if he just refused to come home, what kind of dad would I be to?
Well, at that point, the question is, what can you do?
Let him go.
Right. What can you do? You
let
can't.
him go.
You can't do anything at that point.
And that's
He's made
why I
his
think
choice.
a lot of people are going to be very shocked because they think, well, he's God. He can do anything. He'll make an exception for me. He'll just bring me up into heaven. I mean, I'm good, right? I think I'm good. I did some good stuff last week.
Yeah, but it's like Howard's buddy. You need to read because when he comes back, it's for judgment.
Yeah. And again, I mean,
that's
it's
what it's
impossible for many people to grasp because we have completely destroyed accountability in our society.
Mm-hmm.
And ignored.
If the rules don't work, we change the rules.
Right.
If the definition doesn't fit what we want it to fit, we change the definition.
And you see that in hyperdrive these days.
It's
in overdrive.
I remember
now.
explaining this 13 years ago to my wife when she wanted to go back to school the first time. And she ended up going back to school in the Philippines for several months because she was scared to go to an American college. Because she's like, you got to understand, I may be pretty good with English, but English is my second language. I'll be under stress. The more under stress I am, the harder it is for me to understand in English. It's going to be really hard for you. I'm like, babe, it's going to be a breeze for you. And she's like, why? I'm like, because I guarantee you college in the United States is way easier than college in the Philippines.
That's a good point.
Because they hold you to the same standard they held you to 50 years ago. She's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, in the United States, enough people don't pass a class. They make the class easier.
Yeah.
They don't push the students harder. They make the class easier.
Yeah, refer to No Child Left Behind.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
there's no doubt. The bar has been
you lower the
for
standards
everyone.
so that
and
they
it's
all
the
get
same
through
thing
it.
with accountability. No one can understand. I mean, this is something that I grapple with in my life, and I'll finish this and we'll take our break. This is something I grapple with in my life because I'm exactly the opposite. I spent a lot of time letting people around me make decisions that affected me. And so now I'm almost the antithesis of this person I'm speaking about who won't be accountable for everything, to where I hold myself, and it may be partially arrogance, but I hold myself responsible for everything. Okay? If I offend you, I hold, without meaning to, it's still my fault. Meaning that I feel I can change my situation. It is within my power.
Yeah, I think.
And for someone to be like, end of the day, it's like, dude, open the book.
The mentality.
Do you need one? Because I got 5.
This one thing I'm going to mention is not why society is falling apart. It is just it's just a symptom of a society that's falling apart. But it's the participation trophy in Little League sports.
Amen.
Yeah.
And there is no participation trophy when we're dealing with your soul. Like if you don't walk through the right door, if you don't do the legwork, you are not going to get pulled out because you're special. God goes way out of his way. He is not partial. It doesn't matter if you're a king, a ruler, a famous actor on television, a preacher. At the end of the day, you're going to be judged on your actions. And no king and no preacher is going to, but I saved 10,000 people. Irrelevant. Your personal relationship with me, that is what, it does not matter. I mean, we are all naked before this guy, all of us.
And the fact that you think you can figure out what you need to do to get into heaven without reading the Bible is the kind of pride that God hates.
No, and that was me, because 8 years ago, I had a
I
company.
I was there. I was there with you.
Yeah,
I thought I was a good person
up.
because, hey, I'm employing 30 people here, and I'm putting money into the economy. I'm a good citizen.
Yeah.
And all the people around me slap me on the back. You're a good citizen. The minute I start following God, they're all like, you're an ass.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
The Bible said that would happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lets you know you're on the right path.
The Bible
even
also
though
said the
sometimes it
meek shall
doesn't.
inherit the earth.
That's right. Yes, that is.
To tie a couple of these ideas together, just sitting back here listening to everything. One of the things I'm picking up out of it is, one, the importance of reading the Bible for yourself, right? Because you have so many people that'll try to tell you, like I was just pointing out to you, this Michael Steele. Why did I point this out? This is a former RNC guy. This is news that's just happening where he's saying, you evangelicals, you supported Trump, so shut the hell up because you don't know what you're talking about with religion. That's not the case. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's a lot of people that are going to take that and they're going to say, yeah, why? They have a totally wrong view of what this book says.
Well,
I think that's very important.
yeah,
to
the
point out.
aftermath of.
Well, and he misses the point. People didn't vote for Donald Trump. People voted against Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, it's
doesn't,
not it's not your job. You're not going to judge Trump.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't judge anybody.
Politicians.
I'm not fit to judge.
Politicians
I
have
can't throw that
historically
stone, baby.
got the Bible contextually wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They quote. My favorite is after 9/11.
Yeah.
And you got these people on TV quoting, basically fulfilling Isaiah prophecy, and not even realizing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the statements they come out and make, thinking that they're going to God and God's word, what they're actually doing is actually smacking them in the face. And it when you see it happening, it's actually kind of laughable, because we're going to go to the Bible and they address the whole world now, which also fulfills prophecy. It's very interesting, and the words they're speaking aren't actually the right. In light of that, instead of saying things like "we're going to rebuild and be stronger than ever," and then not mentioning God, what you've just done is you've kicked them in the groin, dude.
Well, George Bush read a passage.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
After 9/11, he read a passage. Now, back then, I did not know the Bible at all, but I thought to myself, "Oh, how nice! The president is reading a passage from the Bible." Now, it would take about 12 years later for me to realize the passage he was reading. He was reading a passage that was ascribed to Satan, saying, I will rise
Right.
above the mountains. And everyone in the crowd's going, "Oh,
How
look,
nice.
he's reading the Bible." But that is the devil mocking us, because George Bush didn't pick to read this.
Oh no, he had some.
Yeah,
he,
someone
So,
said,
you
"Here's a
know,
good one. It
well, I
sounds
mean,
good."
He had some
their
30-year-old
controllers
staffer.
are
Yeah.
no the people around the president. They've been through secret societies. They're in. I mean, they're down, and they're telling him what he's going to read.
Yeah.
He can't even change a speech without causing some serious problems. So he reads it. He probably doesn't even know what he's reading, but he's reading the devil's words, which were subquoted.
And
by
this goes on and on. There's a lot of that post 9/11. It's actually it is alarming that most people see that, and like you said, their reaction is like, that's good. It's about time the nation gets back on track. And really, what he did is it was a profession of pride and in God's face and ridiculous.
I didn't know that was a totally demonic speech
Totally,
until I
yeah.
actually did what we were talking about. Start to read this book for myself,
Yeah,
and that's what no one really does, is really study this thing.
It's really something.
I got a question. Isn't it Jonathan Cahn that?
That's right. He does
Yeah,
a pretty
to
good
point that
thing
out.
on
Yeah.
Isaiah 9:10,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
and it's
got-
pretty eye-opening, actually.
Second point before we go,
yeah.
you talked about the passage you were talking about in Luke, and your point in that. Does that, to me, that reminded me of our the thing we went to the other day about Revelation. Remember, the thing that really hit me on that was he talked about in the end that the last church, the seventh church, was going to be lukewarm. Did you guys?
Yeah, basically useless.
Yeah, it's one of these things that,
Right.
that I'm kind of relating to what Dave is saying here. You're given things, right, and you're not doing anything with it. You're lukewarm, and God would rather have you one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
so-
he's going to spit out the lukewarms, and if it was
Yeah.
the 7 letters to the 7 churches, and what was the 7th church, whatever it was,
Laodicea?
but if they were the lukewarm one,
they were the lukewarm.
they're in trouble. And that's what we are now. Is
Exactly.
Jesus fits into our life. We don't fit into his.
Right.
And
Well, that's kind of a symptom or a part of it where you're saying these people, you hear something, you don't know the Bible yourself, but you hear a passage. Oh, that's very nice. I'm religious. I'm a good person. I'm gonna make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of a laziness. It's this lukewarm thing. It's taking a shekel and putting it in a rag and not doing anything with it.
Yeah.
Well,
Complacent.
I think there's a huge difference between believing you're going to make it and knowing you're going to make it.
That's yeah.
what's
and
funny?
hoping. And
Yeah,
hoping.
hoping you're going to make
because
it.
I believe
more I
I'm going to
read-
make. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Between believing you're going to make it and feeling worthy of making it.
Well, that's a whole nother.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
because I believe I'm going to make it because that book tells me so.
Right.
But do I feel worthy of it? No way. I wouldn't let me in.
Right.
All the things I've done, there isn't enough time left.
I thought
Yeah.
you were trying to say this is something that happens with my sister, because I'll ask her, I'm like, do you think you're going to heaven? Because I'm doing anything to initiate this conversation. And she's like, she is certain she's going to heaven. And I'm less certain about my own salvation than hers. And what's strange is we're exact opposite in terms of closeness to God. And it's, I don't know, we got to take a break here,
Yeah.
but do you understand
Oh, yeah.
the
That's presumptuous to sit there and go, absolutely, I'm in.
I know
That's
those
what-
things
that's what
now,
I'm saying.
those
Meek
things
shall
make
inherit
me
the earth.
cringe when I hear them. Like, I feel like God's anger almost just
Right.
Are you
Like,
kid, you
easy
stupid
there.
humans? Oh man. All right, well, why don't you get us to break, Howard?
Okay, well, we're going to pay a few bills, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Oh, there's the echo again.
That's cool.
Me. No, it's gone. I love playing with echo for a while. Any rate, so we're back, and we're going to change the topic real quick because we got off on that, and that was a excellent discussion, and we probably have more to go in the future. But we had been talking last week. We had brought up the fact that all 5 of us, Kat included, the missing and beautiful Kat.
Hi, Kat. I said.
Yeah, hi, Kat. Enjoy your studies. So we have been talking that we had all kind of, from different perspectives without discussing anything, fasting, the idea of fasting and prayer, had popped up on all of our radar from
individually,
not collectively. And so Dave and Dave have some experience because they're trying it out. And I'm going to turn it over to DiBiase because he's got some really interesting
We're giving
insight.
up our blessing by talking about this, but that's okay.
No, we're not.
For the
No, we're not.
My
sake
fast
of the
is
audience.
my fast is over,
Oh, all right.
so I'm good to go.
All right.
But
Your fast is, how long have you been fasting?
I just fasted 2 days.
2 days?
Yeah, tell us about your experience.
So last week we kind of went into this, fasting. What is it? The physical benefits. There's obviously a spiritual aspect to it, which now beyond, not that I had any doubt to begin with, but now I have zero doubt that this is absolutely there's content here. This is the meat and potatoes of a lot of things that I never noticed before until we started looking into it. So I decided Sunday, because, I said I want to do this to quit smoking. I had this kind of idea in my head that this is going to be the way to do it. Because like you, I think you have it. You started late. You're like the oddball hooper. Started in your 30s. You started smoking.
Yeah,
it's very unusual, right?
That's what my friend Suzette said today.
Yeah, it's unusual. How old are now? You probably 15, 16?
Yeah.
That's like me, right? It's a career, lifetime smoker.
Yeah.
So there's been a few times when I've quit throughout my
Some
life.
would say professional.
The absolute pro, dude. Like I could
And dude,
eat
I want to
tobacco.
give you guys. I don't know how you quit because I can at least remember my life without smoking, like being an adult. But if you started that young, you've never. I mean, in a way, it's like your buddy. It's there.
Well,
it soothes you.
There's only been a few times that I've been without nicotine. Actually, only twice. And I quit once, like right after I basically first started. And it was a pretty extended quit period, right? I was maybe, I don't know. I was young. But it didn't last that long. I went back smoking. The other time was when I smashed my knee and I had no choice. I had to quit because my bones wouldn't heal. So I went maybe a year with zero nicotine in my system. So I had quit because believe me, that was another, it was kind of like fasting in a way because I was in so much pain that I really didn't care about cigarettes. I wanted my leg to heal. I had pins sticking out of it and screws in it and a Lizaroff frame, and it was very brutal. Almost lost it. So anyway, there's only time, and that was in 2001. So it's been that long. Since then, I've always had nicotine pumping through my veins in some form or another, whether it be chew, smokes. I bounce back and forth between the chew and the smokes because it was brilliant to start chewing to quit smoking, but that's really stupid because quitting chew is harder, so you just fall back on the smoking because it's not going to be chew. Anyway, it's this never-ending thing. So yes, lifetime smoker, and I want to quit really bad because I know I'm 43 now. It's having a physical effect on me now. I can feel it. I get winded easier. I have kind of like this, I started developing this cough that was like, it's not from being sick, right? It's like always in the morning. You know what I'm talking about, right? And I just kind of want to clean it up. I want to clean it up in general because, we kind of touched on this. I mean, I'm going to sit there and deliver a sermon on Jesus and then say, I'll be right back. I'm going to go have a smoke. It doesn't really work. You know what I mean? It's like a credibility issue. I want to clean up my act. So I was going to fast to quit smoking. So here's how it started. So Sunday night, I decided I was going to eat dinner and that was going to be it. And I was originally planning on fasting for 5 days. And that's water only, no food. That's it, right? Water only fast for 5 days. That was my plan. So, and I also had a sidebar plan with the cigarettes. So I wasn't going to just completely drop them cold turkey, because I already had, this is an addict's mind, right? My mind is, I'm like,
Bargaining.
and I'm going to give up food already, so I don't want to shock everything and overdo it. So I had this plan to kind of wean myself off of the cigarettes. So
You sound like me.
it's really weird, right? I mean, but actually, the way this panned out is so incredible that I can't deny it. There's something special going on here. So Sunday night, I pray on it, right? This is what I want. This is what I'm asking. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna fast. I'm gonna do all these things, and in the meantime, pray my way through it. And I also was very interested in understanding this conversion you were talking about, where you go from being really hungry to not hungry anymore and having the energy and all these things. I wanted to understand that too. So Sunday night, eat dinner. That's it. Monday was brutal. It was very hard. I don't like being hungry. In fact, I talked to Howard on the phone. You're like, so how's, something? Are you fasting? I'm like, dude, I don't want to talk about it. Like, it was freaking me out mentally. I was actually having really bad anxiety and panicky. And plus, I'm at work. And it's pretty busy this week, so it was not the best time to do it. So Monday, I had 3 cigarettes all day. And Monday night was by far the hardest. I was so hungry, my stomach hurt, I had a headache, that I had to pray for 2 hours just to get to sleep. And that was probably 2 a.m. I fell asleep. Woke up 6:30. I felt like $1,000,000 Tuesday morning. So I went all day, and I had a smoke on Tuesday.
Was that your half smoke day?
No. Wednesday was the half smoke day, so we're getting to that. So Tuesday I had a cigarette, and and I was still planning on doing the 5-day thing, but I worked late. I was there till like 7 or 8. So at about 7, I decided, you know what, I'm going to have a salad when I get home, and I'm going to break this fast, and then because I already kind of understood that transition, right? I experienced it for a day. It was enough. I'm not trying to prove anything. So I'm going to have a salad and then change my diet completely going forward, which I have. And then Wednesday, I was going to have no cigarettes at all. And it'd be my first day with no smokes at all day. Eyes open, eyes closed, right? And Tuesday night, I prayed on this. And I'm like, God, if this is what you got for me, this is what I have in mind. If it's what you have in mind, then help me out with it. And I was going to make Wednesday my day with no cigarettes. That was the prayer. That was the plan. That's what I was going to do. So went to work Wednesday, and now I'm back eating. But I changed everything. I'm just like no carbs, lean meat. Only tuna, boiled eggs, all vegetables, water only. I haven't had a pop. I can't remember when. But I had saved, like a good addict, I had saved a half a cigarette.
Can't throw it away.
Just in case.
Can't throw that away.
It was my, like Kat put it, my in case of emergency break glass, right? That was my, not punch somebody in the mouth, half a cigarette, right? And at this point, I really hadn't needed it because I didn't have that, where you get like short-tempered and hot-headed, and I didn't have much of that. It was actually really diminished in general anyway. But I was working late again, and about 4:45 on Wednesday, I knew I was going to be there again till like 7 or 8. So I'm like, you know what? I got that half a smoke. I'm just going to smoke that. Even though I was planning on going, it's only half a cigarette. It'll get me through the rest of the evening. And Thursday, I'll have no cigarettes. Now, this whole time, I've essentially been fasting and praying, right, as instructed. I smoked that half a cigarette, and I had the strangest physical reaction to it that's never happened to me before. The taste, I couldn't bear it. I felt like I was going to puke for 2 hours. I was lightheaded, not the cool nicotine rush that you get, like where you're like, yes, and then you get back to calm and focus. No, it was like a rejection. It was really, really strange.
Did you feel when we were out having a cigarette just now? Did you feel like you're missing something? Like, did
no,
you even
in
have
fact,
one? Like, hey, maybe I'll have.
I moved because the smoke was blowing in my face, and it was a little bit strong. It's so effing weird that I have to talk about it because for anyone who, like Howard, loves cigarettes, right? Smoking is awesome.
It is.
And I love to, any form. Cigars, pipes, chewing, I don't care.
Marijuana.
It's tobacco. It doesn't matter, right? And I didn't give a damn about weed, and I don't know how long. So, and drinking too. I don't have any desire to have a cold beer. Like I really don't want one. This is really strange, right? It's all coming out of this short yet committed fast that I did, and so far today, absolutely zero interest in having a cigarette. And it's not just saying that to, like, you know, kind of get myself through it. You know, normally be like, let me just get to bed so I can call it another day under the belt, right? But no, it's actually, I was so excited that I felt like puking. I called my wife immediately, and then I called you after.
Right.
And I said, I cannot believe this. She's like, what? And I said, I just smoked half a cigarette, and I am fighting.
You call me, you go, this may sound strange, but it's really good news. I want to throw up right now.
Yeah,
I'm
I feel like I'm going to puke, and I'm so happy about it because she's like, what? And I try to explain it to her. Like, it made me physically sick. It wasn't like normally that would be the best smoke you've had ever because, you know, you're jonesing for one, thinking about it all day. It actually, it backfired on me, which is interesting because I had asked to make Wednesday my first cigarette-free day, and I kind of went against that. He's like, okay, fine. Here, feel like this for 2 hours. And since then, dude, I have absolutely no interest. And so the more I thought about this and talked to Howard a little bit, talked to you a little bit about it, I talked to Kat a little bit about it. We brought up Derek Prince before with the fasting, and he brought up something interesting about nicotine. He says it's especially demonic because of the physical aspects of nicotine addiction. And it's basically the gateway for everything. Once you're addicted to nicotine, you'll almost do anything. As far as alcohol, drugs, whatever, it makes it easier for the stuff to get in. And normally people start smoking when they're young. 14, 15, sometimes 12, 13, right? So then this demonic gateway is opened up, and that's why it's so hard to shake. And you actually physically stay an addict forever because these nerve receptors don't really heal up. But the demonic aspect of it is what's interesting because I've never successfully quit, which is why I needed to quit because I was smoking. And we kind of touched on the story from the book of Mark where, you know, the guys were perplexed because they couldn't cast out this demon from the kid, right? And that Jesus responded.
They had been casting out other demons. They had actually had some success, but suddenly it wasn't working.
And they asked, why couldn't we cast it out? Because Jesus was able to. You know, for him, it was no big deal. We said this kind only comes out with fasting and with prayer and fasting. And that's interesting. And there's, to me, there's substance there. I think there's real meaning behind that because it doesn't make sense. Physically, scientifically, logically, any of the above, why I had that reaction to the half a cigarette, being that I've quit and started. I don't know, dozens of times.
Now you seem to have. What's your confidence in the staying power of this feeling?
Right now, it's without trying to sound like, you know, cocky about it. I think 100% because. I'll obviously continue praying on it, and I'm going to fast again. But this time, you know, this is now more of a just to kind of lock this in, right? But I don't. I think this time, not only am I committed, you know, because I really need to do this anyway. I'm too old to be smoking. It's going to kill me if I don't quit. Something else might, but why? You know, I just need to get it out of my life. But the results of this have been very significant, and it gives credence to what I read in this book, that now I kind of understand it a little bit more, like this fasting thing. It's, you know, a lot of people will pray on stuff, you know, God, please help me with XYZ, right? But you're just kind of asking him to do something for you. You know, you're not really, and I know that's biblical, and that's great, and I get it. But it's like when you fast, it's like something, you're actually physically doing something that you're able to do while requesting something you're not able to do. It's like you got, you know, it's like you got some skin in the game. And it just changes the playing field. It's like, I think you put it really well, is like they take note.
Yeah, and my metaphor was, because I was thinking of that's my most common experience as a boss of people. And when I'd be leaving the office, if someone was still at their cubicle and I saw a light on, that I notice that, and I might go by and say, "Hey, you're here late. What's going on?" And I'm now more invested in that. That was the type of person that would move up the ranks, get noticed, suddenly the CEO is aware of this other person. And now I'm doing things to help move their career along. That was the closest human metaphor. It's
perfect because, versus the guy that comes by your office at 4 and says, "Yo, man, one of these days I want to be upper management." I got to go.
Exactly. Yeah. And believe me, I have had a litany of those.
Yeah, the ambition's there, I guess.
Who were shocked when I didn't promote them over someone else who was busting their hump, which I think is a shadow of the same shock a lot of people are going to have.
Yeah, sure.
On that day.
So it's a really good way to describe it because, it's like this. And no matter what it is, whether it's quitting smoking or whatever it may be that you're fasting and praying for, the answer, you will always get an answer to the prayer, no matter what. You will always get an answer. But sometimes the answer is no. But it's an answer, either way.
The more I dig into the Bible, things that seem like superfluous rituals or symbolic actions are really not like that. There's actual physics behind what's happening. So with fasting, it's just a theory. We do know, scientific evidence, forget the Bible here for a second, but health practitioners quietly say, I ran into one today. She's like, I fast 4 times a year usually, different types of fasts. And the medical evidence of what fasting does, it blows the theory of evolution even further down the toilet.
So here's what I was going with that. That's good because that lays the groundwork here. So you're going to fast and you're going to pray on something. Now let's say you go through and, I don't know, like Daniel, you'll fast for 21 days, right? You just go for it. Water only, you're doing it. But at the end of it, you don't necessarily get the result from the prayer that you expect. Maybe you don't get any result at all. In other words, what you're requesting was not in God's plan, and the answer to the prayer was no. There's still, from the fast, there's still all these physical benefits that you garner from it. Even though the answer to the prayer might have been no, you still, as almost like a reward for doing that, because you're not always going to get a yes. That's just not going to happen. It doesn't. Sometimes you're going to get a no. But even if you get a no, the result of the fasting is always positive no matter what.
Well, the physical benefits, apart from the Bible, are undeniable.
Well, that's part of it. That's what I'm saying, that is part of it.
Like right now, I haven't had anything to eat this is going on 3 days. And I have a slight headache. But I feel great because I know right now the energy that I'm on that's being used, this is the medical science telling me this, is that my body is burning off of itself. And the first layer of energy it seeks, right after it does protein for just a minute, muscles, but then it goes to these lipids to where you're in the state of ketosis, and that's where the body somehow, if we evolved, it magically knows to do this. But I think what's more realistic, and I can argue this one a million ways, is that we're a well-built machine that can actually repair itself in motion. And when you stop taking in food, which, look, if I'm Satan, I've got everything. I'm in everything, whether it's cigarettes or gum or GMOs or whatever. There's something in there that's going to screw something up, that's going to open up a pathway. And it's funny, but every time something big had to happen in the Bible, they'd fast, which means there's nothing going into the body except for water. And the body automatically starts to burn all of the defective cells. Anything that's precancerous, anything that has been mutated or damaged, that's like the energy I'm burning right now, are getting broken cells out of my body, and they're being replaced by brand new healthy ones. And that's why people that have fast, they score higher on all these physiological tests, from reaction time to eyesight to organ strength, you name it. I mean, it's not even close. And for me, I think what's really goes on is it's almost giving the forces of goodness time to get, right now they don't have time to breathe. And I do believe God actually has control over every single cell in our body at the end of the day. And that's not such a big stretch. We have computers now that can handle terabytes of information instantaneously. So it's not, we've made that in a few decades. It's not inconceivable to believe that God's system allows him to monitor literally every single cell in your body. And I frankly, that might even be biblical. I'm not sure about that one. But one thing that happens, you start to just drink water, nothing else gets into you. The body does what it was designed to do. It gets rid of this stuff, and what's left is a clear communication with God, which everybody biblically, on the biblical side, seems to talk about.
Yeah. Like I said, I only did 2 days, but the second day, I can attest to that, and all of the physical attributes as well. You know, the improved reaction time was something I found out by accident. I was sitting there, I'm welding, and something fell off the table, and I literally just grabbed it in midair before it hit the floor. And normally it would clang and scare the crap out of me, you know. But I saw it, peripheral vision, I grab it, and I was just like, whoa, that is weird. And then I remembered what you said about the improved reaction time. It was very strange. I worked, 12 hours with zero problem, went home. I was fine. It was not, I think I probably could have went like that for days and days and days.
Yeah, I think once you get over the transfer, like as your body gets done burning glucose and instead burning junk.
Yeah.
Once you're in that zone, depending on how much junk you have to burn, you're fine. I mean, and you're even. It's burning evenly. You're not highs and lows. You don't have this afternoon tiredness.
No, there's none of it.
The self-repair that goes on. And the medical community here, I mean, it's very hush-hush. They do not, this does not help their bottom line at all. You're telling me that doing nothing is
better
free,
than,
is better than 55 different pills for $10,000?
Yeah.
It is coming out now, though. I mean, I see a lot more.
Yeah, the science of it is, it's,
look,
you can't
I just read, it just came out in Forbes where they talk about this whole, the fasting and how it repairs your white blood cells. It lowers your white blood cell count.
Yeah, it improves your immunity going forward. Now, to me, there's no way that the five of us all ran into fasting in this week. We talk about it. Then we suddenly realize we've all just recently in one way or another, Tony, maybe you a little more deeply, have been touched by this. We've experimented a little bit. Then we do it. And then today I have a doctor come into my office, come in and say, yeah, fasting actually it's great. There's just, I'm sorry.
I know, it's too much. I went to a funeral on Saturday, the day before I decided to just go for this. And a really good friend of mine, I've known him since I was 4 years old. Now, he's not necessarily what I would consider a religious man, but I think he believes in God. We never really talked about it much, but we're gonna. But here he's talking about how I asked him, you want a coffee or something? I'm trying to, polite gestures at the funeral because it was unexpected death of his stepdad, and it was pretty tragic and sad. It's like, no, man, actually, I've been eating clean since the second. He's like, nothing but.
Was that the message you got last Thursday when we were sitting down?
No, yes. Yeah, so Saturday was the funeral.
Okay.
So that's right, because I got that text sitting with you.
I remember now. Okay.
And Saturday was the funeral, and we're talking. He says, "No, since the second, I've had I'm not eating anything but vegetables and water." And now his name is Daniel.
Funny.
And I'm just like, really? Okay, tomorrow's it. I'm doing it. All right, enough is enough. I mean, how many billboards do you have to see before you finally pay attention? I mean, it was.
And look, the world's broken down. If you believe in evolution, you're likely to believe that that's just all random coincidence. And if you believe we were created and there is a God, You don't think it's random. It's a communication system. And the thing is, are you open to it?
That's right. And obviously, like I said, there's a lot of people would say, well, it's just you were just ready to quit. Well, okay, fair enough. I was. But I'm convinced I had help this time.
Well, that's why I asked you, would you have done this fast if we wouldn't have brought it up on air 2 weeks ago?
I think eventually, probably, but it would not have been. No, I wouldn't have looked into it. And then Tony said he did a 5-day. I was like,
I know.
What?
I know.
I'm like, all right, what's the deal here?
Yeah, what prompted... Okay, so the Derek Prince thing prompted you to do a 5-day fast.
Well, it took a while. I mean, I didn't do it right away.
Right, but you used...
Was it a water only or...
liquids, basically. I was drinking coffee and stuff like that. I didn't do a water only. That came after. Because I really didn't study up on it or anything like that. It was kind of one of those things where I heard a couple things and I said, well, you know what? I just want to see what it was about. So I tried it for a 1 day. That 1 day, you're kind of hungry. And
it was pretty hard. That was the worst day for me, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. Then I said, like the next week I'll do a 2-day, and did that, and it was, after the first day, the second day's a little easier. So I said a 3-day, and on the third day, it was I was feeling good.
It's weird, isn't it?
It was weird.
So weird.
And to your point, like when you're talking about praying and things like that, it seems like your mind is so much clearer.
Yeah, like decisions are easier to make. There's a clarity.
Right.
I don't have it right now, and I think it's because I took a sip of Gatorade before I came over here. I don't know, but I've got a headache right now. But prior to this, like there's just clarity. The things you're not sure what you should do, you just know what to do. You'd like, oh, this goes here, that goes.
Right.
Decisions get easier.
Yeah, things.
I think it's a connection to God that gets.
I believe that
strengthened.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What seals the deal is the cigarette thing. That is so profound to me that I can't ignore it.
Yeah, that's not.
It's not normal.
It's not random.
It's
that's
random
not an
either.
accident.
No. But tomorrow, because you got a slight headache now, I think when you go to bed tonight, you finally get to fall asleep. It might be tough. When you wake up in the morning, I bet you're going to feel like $1 million.
I felt awesome this morning.
I think
when I woke up
awesome
this morning,
in the morning,
I was on fire, and I felt high. It was like all the old THC, because THC stays in your fat cells for a long time, like 9 months to a year. And I don't smoke weed like I used to, but I still do occasionally. And it felt like I was high. It felt like I was on a natural high, but I suspect it was that buried THC was being burned off.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk about that.
Yeah, it was almost like an amphetamine. It was like a stimulant for me. It was almost like I was like just doing enough blow all day to maintain. It was just kind of kept me ripping. It was weird.
Yeah, I was out taking the dog for a
so
walk. And,
weird.
It's like running around and feeling good. And
yeah.
It's just strange.
Yeah, it is strange. I couldn't believe that your body, you can feel things turn on and turn off. You can feel your digestion shut down. Mm-hmm. And then when you eat, you feel it turn back on. It's really strange.
Yeah, mine totally shut off.
It's you know it too. It just stops.
Yeah, it's weird, but I feel it that is not.
It's just done.
It is a dormant system.
No more moving, no gurgling anymore. It just stops, and then it just sits there, and
everyone, and then you reach this plane where, if you can get over that first. By the third day, you're good.
Yeah, you should be.
I made a mistake on air saying that after the third day, people started. But I meant to say by the third day, just about everyone that was in this Russian study group was feeling great. Some of them 24 hours, some 48. But look at it like that. Just break it down to 48 hours.
It's 2 days, man. It's nothing.
Have some movies ready to go. Have some Bible and just know that, okay, this is not going to feel good, but it's going to be good for me in the long. It's almost easier to quit everything instead of trying to pick one thing.
I kind of had the same mentality. Like, I'm just going to shock. I'm going to just, that's it. No smokes, no food, none of it. And it worked. I mean, absolutely worked because I'm not interested. Then I got the financial aspect of it. Now I just don't want to spring $7 for a pack of smokes. So
yeah.
because I'm cheap too.
No.
So it helps. But, Monday was just kind of funny. Monday, it was really hard, man. I was really hungry, dude. And I had a headache. It was bad. But not until I tried to sleep. So like 8 or 9, I'm saying goodnight to the wife and the kids. They're going to bed. And I'm just going to watch a movie till I get tired. Because I was still kind of, buzzing from the first day of not eating, So my wife's worried because I'm not eating. Now, she understands what I'm doing, and she gets it, and she is definitely a godly woman. She gets it, but she's a little bit concerned, right? She doesn't want me to get dizzy and maybe, whatever. So I'm going to go down and watch a movie, and she's like, why don't you, you could just maybe eat some egg whites, or maybe just, make something, just something so you're not dizzy. I'm like,
maybe
yeah.
just take one bite of the
I'm
apple.
like, yeah, Adam.
Yeah.
That's what I told you. Yeah, go eat the fruit, Adam. Just go ahead, eat it. I said, now I know how that went down.
Yeah, I was talking to my mom before I went to the doctor's today, and she's like, in her Spanish, Gordo, you make sure you ask the doctor that you're on these fasts. You find out if he's good or no. Mom, the doctor's not going to give me any answer I'm going to care about.
Right.
I know what he's going to say. But I'm just to appease her. I'm like, okay. And then when I get back, I roll into my mom's house, and I'm like, and the first thing she goes, did you ask the doctor about the fast? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And guess what?
And she does it too.
She does it too. And my mom was like, oh.
Okay.
Well, I'll make some soup for tonight.
See?
No.
Yeah. See?
No, don't tempt me.
Yeah.
So how many days have you? Is this your
Third.
Third.
This is I started Tuesday late afternoon, so technically I'm in my third day.
okay?
Yeah. I was going to go 5, but and I could have. I'm confident. I mean, this is how I felt physically. I was good to go.
Yeah.
But something told me, no, break it and get
They
focused on
suggest
quitting smoking.
putting your toe in the water with these things. Test them out.
Yeah.
You can increase them by a day later on.
And that was actually advice that I got from more than Howard gave me that too. He's like, build up to it. Start off with 2 or 3 days. Then next time try 5.
Yeah, this is a
and
lifestyle change for me without a doubt. I'm not looking to knock the cover off the ball on a 40-day fast or anything like that.
Right.
But this is going to be a part of my ongoing life.
Yeah, I think so too. Because it's there's just too.
You know, it's interesting when you start. You're talking about fasting for 20 days, and in my mind, I'm thinking like, wow, how can you do that?
It sounds crazy, doesn't it?
It sounds crazy.
How can you do
but
5?
I guarantee you, when I was on that 5-day, I wasn't hungry.
Right.
You're not hungry.
Yeah.
Your
Which is
body-
odd for me.
It's odd for me too, and I almost have to force. That's why I had this gallon jug. I'm still drinking out of it because it's just convenient because it's but I can meter my water, but I'd actually have to look at the jug and be like, I need to drink. I didn't even really have the drive to drink water.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I really didn't feel like I needed anything but air.
Well, you might not need as much water if you're not trying to digest. Too.
Whatever. I mean, I figure a gallon a day is a normal amount to drink, so
That's a lot. I never have that much.
that's 8 ounce glasses.
Your weight in water.
Huh?
Your weight in water.
Is that what it is? I thought it was 8 glasses, 8 ounce
I'm
glasses.
supposed to drink 200,
which is a gallon, right?
pounds of water every day. Well, I'm gonna drown.
Ounces.
Ounces. So this is
Pounds, baby, pounds.
6. Oh, this is 16 8-ounce servings. Never mind. I was doubling up on it.
You're good.
That's fine. Just looking out for the old kidneys,
The other interesting thing is, I think I mentioned it to you guys about drinking distilled water. Is the next thing I've got to try.
There's nothing in it, essentially.
Well, they take out. You're basically removing things from it, so it's
just water.
It's got a negative. It's got a, what's that?
pH?
Yeah, well, it's got a little bit of a negative pH, which when you drink it creates an alkaline, right? And it also removes free radicals and the toxins from your body. It's like a vacuum. But they'll always tell you, oh, you need to add, take your water and add this and add that and your minerals and all that. And they said, no.
Yeah, because this is would be deionized water, it's put through an RO filter. So I guess it's kind of like distilled. It's deionized. It's the same, essentially the same thing. Because it removes everything.
Yeah.
So But distilled, I think, is where you can get everything out of it if you distill it.
Yeah, I've never had distilled water, but I think I tasted it before. It's not real
It's boring.
tasty.
I actually
Water in general.
Yeah,
Kinda
after a
boring.
while, you get really. I got
Kinda boring.
so sick of water. I mean,
I'm
I was
sick of water
tired
right
of it.
now.
So
I'm sick of water.
I would have like a green tea in the evening just to break up the water because it's just after a while you just kind of get beat up on it. But
So if anyone's thinking about doing anything like this, just to jump on the legal bandwagon of what everyone else might say, check with your doctor.
yeah, sure.
There is
Especially
one
if you
thing.
have a
I've had a couple
condition.
people, maybe it was just my mom again, but she's worried. No, someone else said this. Maybe it was you, Howard, or someone else said I might die on the fast. Was that from someone
Oh
else?
no, but it was I think we were talking. You said if you did happen to die on a fast, you were gonna.
That was it. Someone actually goes, well, dude, you might die. And I'm like, look, man, number one, if you die on a fast for God, you were going to die.
You were
going to
die anyway.
And the second thing is, if you die while you're on a fast, I believe that would make you a martyr. Like,
Yeah, it's probably yes.
I would have no problem.
Yeah,
But then again,
but the irony of that. See, I told him he was going to die.
this is where people don't understand where a true Christian doesn't really fear death anymore, and they're not afraid of the end of the world. And Derek Prince described this. There's two things he said that just rocked me this week. So one of them was, he goes, guys, the earth right now is going through birth pangs, right? I mean,
Right.
that's what the Bible called them. There's something's... Now, he's like, imagine your wife, and she's going through birth pangs. What are you praying for? Are you praying that the birth pangs go away and nothing gets born? Or are you praying that you're going to get your butt to that hospital as fast as possible so that these birth pangs turn into,
Right.
your this thing that's going to come out? And he goes, when you understand that, you'll understand why a Christian prays for the birth. I mean, they're praying for the end. They're praying for this thing to be over with.
Yeah.
It's a... don't confuse it. It's not suicidal or anything.
No,
like that.
it's not. It's not.
But it's just
Yeah.
knowing that the next existence is going to be just better. Life was better with my child than before. And then this was the other thing that rocked me that he said, which I was going to touch on. I think there's someone at the back door. Which I was going to touch on with something you guys were saying outside. And that is... like Tony, you had a really good idea for some businesses and stuff. And I've had those pop through my head too. But Derek Prince put something in this way, and I can't deny it. And maybe it's been secretly at work, and I just don't know it. But heaven and God, it's everlasting. Anything else you ever do is going to burn up. What websites we make or paintings or books we write or jobs we have, all of it is terminal. There's only one thing that will have everlasting impact. And Derek Prince is like, when that realization hit me when I was a senior fellow at Cambridge, I knew I could no longer be a philosopher. I had to speak God's word and do it full time. And he goes, all my fears of all, my income, loss of prestige, all of it was unfounded. I threw myself in it, and it just poured on me. And look at the life my wife and I have traveled across the world. We've been able to impact people. I feel like I've gotten closer to God. I couldn't have dreamt for a better future. And I just thought, what a great way to put it. Like, because people ask, why do you do this? Do you ever get those questions? Why are you out there talking about?
No.
Seems like a lot of work.
I mean, why?
Yeah.
Why not just be in life?
Well,
it's going to burn up.
It's all temporary, man.
I'll leave us with one quote. It's unattributed. But so I don't know who said it. Maybe one of you guys can find out. I ran across this week when we were doing a little research on talking about. We never really even got to the interesting facts of Jesus. But here's the quote. 19 wide centuries have come and gone, and today he is the centerpiece of the human race and the leader of the column of progress. I am far within the mark when I say that all the armies that ever marched and all the navies that ever were built and all the parliaments that have ever sat and all the kings that have ever reigned put together have not affected the life of man upon this earth as powerfully as that one solitary life, Jesus of Nazareth. And you're trying to tell me he was just a regular human being. That's my add-on. That wasn't the quote.
Right. I wonder who did say that.
It sounds Napoleonic.
It does, actually. It's a
It
fantastic
actually
quote.
does.
And he's very true.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He never lifted a weapon, yet he has done more than all the weapons of history have ever been able to do. But the next time he shows up, people,
oh well, that's different.
He's going to have
yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
weapons we can't even fathom.
Yeah, he came to save last time. That was last time.
Get to know him.
Yeah,
He's your only chance, and he wants you. Get to know him. That's all I have to say this week. I've got a lot to say, but anyone else want
we
to add
always
anything?
have a lot to say.
Tony?
No, but that was author unknown.
Yeah, author unknown.
Oh, you just looked it up?
Yeah.
Huh. It's probably
So you didn't make
probably
it up.
that Google.
Are we out
thing.
of time?
Yeah,
Thank
pretty
Google.
much.
Okay.
It's about time for us to skedaddle.
All right.
But, take an opportunity, any opportunity you got. You're not going to, the instruction manual sitting right there, maybe on a bookshelf unopened, maybe under 10 other books, but the instruction manual is there. There are instructions on how to get off of this, to end the pain and the suffering, and to enjoy eternal bliss. All you have to do is want it and learn about it.
I think, Howard, you said it best. If somehow we're all wrong,
You lose
no
nothing.
harm done.
Yeah.
You lose nothing.
Besides,
nothing
the real
wrong.
history of the world is much more interesting than the history that they present us.
Absolutely.
But if you're wrong, do you understand the catastrophe?
Oh, yeah.
you're
Yeah,
looking at?
that's right.
Unbelievable.
You can avoid it.
You can.
That's all I have to say.
This has been Down the Rabbit Hole. We will see you next week.